to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Monday? We do. You do. From the Dixieline Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, coming off a great sports weekend, we welcome you to the Monday Bonus Podcast. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host, the venerable John Riley, and we welcome you to Hacksaw's Headline. Podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers. 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. You got projects. They've got materials. You want ideas. They can be your best friend. Name it. They'll help you fix it or build it at Dixieline Lumber. John Riley, our head is spinning. There are so many stories that are breaking in the world of sports. Great sports weekend, and now uncertainty everywhere in athletics.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, the breaking news with the Padres are going to get into, but how was your trip? You just got back from the Northern Adirondacks.
It was great. It was great doing the podcast from there. The weather was great. The colors exploded, and then winter arrived, and it was really cold in my cottage. I woke up, it was 24 degrees in the morning. My cottage is not built for Adirondack winters, which is why it's locked up now for the season. We had a good time coming back, 15 hours. 15-hour trip coming
That's
home
brutal.
With all the connections, really hard. But it was great. We got the podcast done. I think people enjoyed it based on the number of people that sampled the podcast while we're on our own road trip. So we're back. Holy cow, we got a lot to talk about. And let's get started with the story that broke late Monday morning.
Yeah, we got the story on Mike Shildt announced his retirement. Wow.
I don't know if the word retirement, the word quit, the word run out, I'm not quite sure how to link all this together. Mike Shildt steps aside as manager of the Padres after back-to-back 90-win seasons and playoff appearances. He said very basically, it's time to take care of myself. I think he's a victim of baseball burnout. I think that's what this is all about. His phrase was, I gave every fiber of my being to the San Diego Padres over the last 2 years. He uses phrases like grind, mentally, physically, and emotionally. You know, he's been doing baseball for 34 years. He's a baseball lifer with no life away from the game. People told me that he'd spend 12 to 14 hours at Petco Park. That's what his life was. And you can't get baseball out of your mind, even when you're home, even when you have an off day. He's always processing information about the job, the responsibility, the players, etc. His career record, 435 and 340 from St. Louis through San Diego, but just 9-14 in the playoffs. He won only one playoff series over the course of his career. Here were the Padres, 93-win season, 90-win season, 183 and 141. At the end of the day, baseball IQ through the charts. At the end of the day, I do believe there was an issue. I think the issue was old school manager, new breed of analytics advisors, and I think they struggled to make it mesh. But there's no doubt that he brought stability to the clubhouse. He backed his players. He defended his players. He feuded with the media. There's no doubt, though, his baseball IQ, I really thought what the stuff he was doing was really off the charts. Dedication squared is the first thought I had when I tried to rationalize why he would do this, why he would step away from a really good job. And he's walking away from 2 years, $4 million on the contract he had just signed this past off season as an extension. So I was really stunned. But burnout, I think it's more burnout than it is anything else. So there are now 8 baseball jobs that are open. 2 have been filled so far, Texas and Pittsburgh. Where do they go? Do they take somebody who's been on a fast track, who many people think are intellectually ready to manage, though they've got no experience? Do they take somebody like A.J. Ellis or Scott Service, who had been in Seattle? Or do they look It's somebody that they've groomed. Ryan Flaherty was here. He's with the Cubs right now. He seems to be a manager in waiting. Mark Loretto works in the front office. Nick Hundley seems to have been on a fast track, catcher, turned coach, turned major league executive, now back to working in the front office. Or do you promote from in with Ruben Niebla, pitching coach in waiting? Now there's some other guys out there. David Ross had high credentials with the Cubs and then was let go. He wants to manage again. George Lombard, Dodgers, Tigers, has interviewed multiple times over the last couple of years. I think real legitimate hot candidate. Brad Ausmus had a brief cup of coffee as a manager, longtime coach, smart guy. And then there's the old school guys. Bruce Bochy, 4 World Series rings, but he's cut from a different cloth, obviously comes from a different era in baseball. Joe Madden, independent thinker. A lot of success, Tampa Bay, some success, Angels, Cubs, has been out of baseball. Nobody's hired him. And Mike Scioscia, legendary manager, old school, but it's been a decade since he's done it, yet he's still held in baseball high regard. And I think the other sidebar story as it relates to Mike Shildt stepping aside, who wants to work for A.J. Preller? Understand this, he's about to hire his 6th manager going to the 12th year of his blueprint running the San Diego Padres. He's had 5 managers. He's had 2 interims, and not really any of them have worked out except the old school Mike Shildt. Going to be fascinating to see where this goes. But as if the Padres don't have enough problems right now with what I still deem as an insecure ownership situation, as to what we deem the roster problems and the massive holes in the pitching staff, as it relates to a budgetary situation with these insinuations they're going to cut this payroll back from the $212 million they operated at this year, as it relates to the fact there was no farm system again because the general manager has traded it away for the 4th time. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of uncertainty. Petco Park might be a destination place for the fans. It's become the in thing to do in San Diego, record-setting attendance. But now all of a sudden, there's uncertainty. And you don't have your leader in the clubhouse, in the dugout, with Mike Shildt stepping aside. I mean, I was floored when the story broke on Monday morning. But that being said, I know him. I've interviewed him. I've been around him. He's a baseball lifer. I think this is a really acute case of baseball burnout. And that's why he's leaving San Diego and going home to the farm in North Carolina. I think he did a really good job. But at the end of the day, with all the moves they've made, all the money they've spent, all the trades and transactions, they haven't gotten there. Have not won a National League Championship Series, not going to be in the World Series this year. So they're still unfulfilled in terms of the big picture of things. That's one man's opinion on Mike Shildt, the Padres, my reaction. And Padre fan, with many opinions from left field, I bet John Riley's got some opinions on this. Go ahead.
Do you believe this story at face value?
Yes.
You do?
I think he's burned out.
You know, the vibe I got from Shildt all season long is that he really loved his job. I mean, he really wanted to get back into managing. Here he is managing playoff team 2 years in a row. He got a little snippy with the press at times, but he seemed to be at peace. You know, he was channeling AJ. He was a good company man, it seemed. And then he never threw his players under the bus. So he probably had his supporters. This was shocking. I mean, I got to believe there's more to this story because, I mean, all these other managers, there's a number of manager roadkill here with the Padres is unbelievable. And then, by the way, the Padres gave up on Dave Roberts and gave up on the guy that's managing the Brewers and gave up on Will Venable. And there's all this managerial talent. It makes you wonder if there are personality clashes behind the scenes, or certain people are riding certain guys so too hard where it makes the workplace environment really ugly. I mean, the relationship with Melvin and Preller went south. I mean, we let Preller get Tingler, and That was kind of his pet guy. That didn't work.
And prior to that, it was Andy Green.
Andy Green, which sort of kind of seemed like it was okay, but he was given an impossible task, and then Bud Black also kind of had a mid team. I don't know. I just think there's more going on. And if you're the owner, John Seidler, I mean, how does this reflect on your general manager who only has 1 year left on his deal? So I don't know. I mean, there's like so many implications to this story. I'm sure he's burnt out. I mean, it's a long season. It's a grind, the whole thing. It's just, there's more going on here that they're just not saying.
Only time will tell whether anything leaks out. But at the end of the day, they accomplished a lot, but they didn't get it across the finish line. But I spin back to the fact, baseball lifer, he's always done it his way. Now, maybe there's some inflexibility with his approach to things, and maybe that grinds on the leadership in St. Louis, and maybe that was a friction and a fraction of the problems upstairs at Petco Park with the Padres. And again, go back to my original essay. Old school manager, new school analytics guys. Maybe that had something to do with it. But if you love baseball, and that's all he is, he's baseball all the time. He can't leave it at work. If you love baseball, he's walking away from $4 million. So that leads me to believe emotionally, mentally, he's hit a wall and needs to be away from it. At one point I felt, well, maybe he'll just get reassigned, step out of the dugout, out of the clubhouse, and go back to being a front office consultant and advisor for Preller, where he did it for the first 2 years. But no, he's selling his condo and he's going to North Carolina. So that leads me to believe he's stepping away from baseball, lock, stock, and barrel.
Yeah. I get it, but I mean, he's had a remarkable career and he never played pro ball. I think he just played like in lower tier colleges. What kind of manager I think the Padres should get is someone like a Billy Martin, some guy that's going to go out there and fight,
Well, Shildt fought for his guys.
Well, he did, but he was still kind of Mr. Mild-mannered. He's still channeling the analytics, We could question his decision to bunt all the time or have a rise bat in the 2-hole. Shildt was a good manager. He wasn't perfect, but I don't know. I just think like if you're Manny Machado and you're kind of have this tough guy bravado, you want to have some dude, that's going to go out there and, theoretically, like throw some punches, get in people's face, play aggressively. Maybe that could light a fire under these guys when their batting seems to go sideways.
Well, you're of the opinion you want somebody with piss and vinegar.
Yes.
But you do that. Does that mean confrontation in the clubhouse with some of his own players that have to answer the bell for 162 games?
They need that.
It's a fine line.
Well, it's like, the Oakland A's in the early 70s. They had all these guys, these personalities, there were fights in the clubhouse, but the manager figured out a way to take that energy and channel it in a positive direction. So, I mean, there's so many theories and suspicions of what's going on behind closed doors in the clubhouse, and especially with Machado and Tatis. But all I know is you want to get a manager who's a fighter that's going to lead the team, and your most important guys are going to be right there with them, ready to fight.
I think Shildt fought. I think he fought for them. He fought with umpires. He fought with Dave Roberts. He scrapped with the media. He had the players' backs all the time. It's an interesting take that you have.
Well, he's got to be more than having the players' back. He's got to go after the players and say, get your act together, man. You're not performing.
It is weird with the success he had in St. Louis. They fired him after 4 years.
Yeah.
It is weird after 2 years here of accomplishments, exits. I do find that strange. Okay, name game. Bochy to San Diego? That make any sense at all?
No, none. He's not coming back. He's done. Unless someone throws a gobs of money at him, I think he's done.
Joe Madden?
I forgot all about him. He was the Angels manager last, right? That was probably in the mid-2010s. Yep. Yeah, I'd say take a look.
Mike Scioscia?
Yeah, take a look.
Been out of it a long time.
Yeah. He's World Series champion.
How about homegrown guys like Mark Loretta? How about Ryan Flaherty? How about Nick Hundley?
Okay, so Loretta has always been that guy looming in the shadow, but he has no managerial experience as far as I'm concerned. Ryan Flaherty would be definitely a guy to promote. Ruben Niebla could be a guy to promote. But who are the other guys on your list?
David Ross, ex-Cubs manager, still held in high regard.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of meh on him.
Unproven George Lombard, but he's interviewed a number of places.
But you were talking about Huntley before, maybe going to the Giants.
Yeah, exactly. He's in the mix there.
But, like A.J. Ellis is another name that's being thrown around. And I don't know. It's got too much Dodger voodoo on that name, so I'd say no to him. Okay.
Here's the burning question. All of a sudden, we have a Padre fan base that is really upset at Machado and Tatis.
Oh, yeah.
You have a Padre fan base that now looks at a pitching staff that's been destroyed by injuries. You have a Padre fan base that I think is questioning the general manager. He's done all this for 11 plus years. We're no closer to a World Series now than they were before, and they're saddled with a lot of long-term contracts with guys that are going to be anywhere from 35 to 42 years of age within the next couple of calendar years. All of a sudden, this doesn't look real good going forward. Am I right or am I right?
It's just so typical San Diego Padres, man. Just when you think things might be okay, you get a curveball like this. So, yeah, this is a serious problem. And we've had, how many times have we seen managers or head coaches in other sports that can completely destroy a team, You see more destroyers than you see, winners that like the Indiana coach. Guys like that are a rare breed. But, yeah, the Padres are going to have to pull one out of their you-know-what, and guys are going to get picked off pretty quick.
Okay. Fans Forum chat box is open. We do this podcast like we did Sports Talk Radio. Topics on the table, lots of opinions, and then we open it up to you. So, John, just explain for all the newbies how Fans Forum works, because you have an opportunity to respond to Mike Shildt walking away, point a finger at whomever you wish to point a finger at, or make a recommendation. Here's the pen and the piece of paper, the name you want to be considered for manager. But how does Fans Forum work?
Fan Forum. It's your chance to get involved. Look at all these dudes that are in here. We got Angel and Casey and Steven and Bill and who else is in this list? Pecky 92. We got Jeff. We got Callan. Everyone's piling in already. They already have a take. Go to the live chat on YouTube, on X, or on Facebook. Type your comment or question. We'll get to Fans Forum at the conclusion of Hacksaw's headlines.
Okay. Fans Forum, one of the reasons we want you to participate. Second thing, I write a lot. Have you ever checked my website? There is no excuse for you not to sample the written content on my website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. It's there first thing every morning, the best 15 minutes in sports, which is a lineup of all the big stories, and my one man's opinion columns, which I want you to read on a day in, day out basis. It's there the first thing every morning on the website. Okay, John, we have addressed the Padres situation, which has knocked the baseball playoffs off the front page of my newspaper. Go ahead. Let's talk about the National League Championship Series first.
Yeah, here we go. We got the Dodger Evil Empire and the Brewers Average Joes.
Yeah, this is really going to be good. Game one of their playoff series is tonight. You got Dave Roberts, Pat Murphy, both of them snubbed by the Padres. And by the way, they're still playing baseball while the Padres don't have a manager now. You got Mr. Analytics in the Dodger dugout versus Mr. I manage by my gut in the Brewer dugout. You got gold standard starting pitching in Los Angeles. You got the Brew Crew pitching staff, which suddenly looks really shaky and thin because of injuries, etc. You've got a bunch of power hitters in Dodger Stadium. You've got a bunch of nickel and dime guys who put the ball in play, homegrown products from Milwaukee. This is so fascinating to me. At the end of the day, Snell, Yamamoto are going to start games 1 and 2 in Milwaukee, to be followed by Glasnow and then Ohtani back here, games 3 and 4 in Los Angeles. And then there's the Roki Sasaki story. 5 times they've called the bullpen. 5 innings, no runs allowed, 1 hit allowed, ton of strikeouts, 100 miles an hour.
Wicked stuff.
Wicked stuff is going to catch up to them now that they're in the National Championship Series, but they're going to continue to rely on Roki Sasaki. In terms of the Brew Crew, I swear to you, there's nobody on the West Coast that can tell me who is in the batting order for the Brewers, aside from Christian Yelich. But I'll tell you, the homegrown kids, Churio, Terang, the refugee Andrew Vaughn, who came from the White Sox, Frelick, Durbin. That's a team that's got a collective batting average of 258, puts the ball in play. They do hit some home runs, 166. Now, the Dodgers, conversely, the Blue Bats, if you will, Ohtani and his 55 home runs and 102 RBIs and 282 batting average. The Dodgers is a collective team with Betts and Freeman and Teoscar Hernandez, Will Smith. They've hit 244 home runs. Dodgers have a 253 team batting average. And then there's the intangible. There is an emotion in Milwaukee. Win it for Uke, the late, great Bob Uecker.
Yeah.
So that's out there, too. And another stat that nobody's paid attention to, I can't explain it, the Brewers beat the Dodgers 6 straight times in the regular season. Think about that. And then there's Ohtani. He's hitting 148 in postseason. Ohtani was 1 for 18, 12 strikeouts in the series against the Philadelphia Phillies. So I can't wait. Is it first pitch time yet? Dodgers-Brewers tonight. It's going to be a wild series. I'm picking the Dodgers to win it. They got too many arms, too many big home run bats. Milwaukee's had a really good season, but I think they're going to hit the wall against these guys. And John Riley's opinion from left field is?
You got to believe that pretty much anybody outside of Los Angeles and Japan wants the Brewers to win, right? I mean, it's just the feel-good story. I mean, the last time they were in the World Series, wasn't that like in 82 with the wall bangers?
Yeah, Molitor and all those guys, Harvey Keene's wall bangers.
Yeah. And Gorman Thomas was on that team. Yeah, so the Brewers have always been that sort of team that never sizzled. You know, the Dodgers have all the stars, the Brewers don't. You know, I mean, I was going to say Churio is one of those guys that I think about only because we knew about all the rookie Jacksons when they were coming up last year. So, the Dodgers, they're going to go through. I mean, we all know that's going to happen. Everything goes their way. So I hope it's an entertaining series. I hope it goes 7. I mean, but I've got friends that are from Wisconsin, and this is a big moment for them. I mean, it's like the Seattle fans. For them, it's like, oh, my God, we're on the cusp of being sports relevant. It'd be a bummer if the Brewers went out.
Great headline, though. Evil Empire versus the Average Joes.
Yeah, totally.
That's what that series is. Great headline, John. Okay, you got an opinion? Dodger Blue, Milwaukee, good series, bad series, short series. Jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. We go from that to the other street corner. The American League Championship Series, John.
The big dumper against Big Daddy Vladdy.
Now we're talking about the Mariners. We're talking about the Blue Jays. 1 game into the series already. Seattle won last night. And that was amazing because Toronto, on the first pitch of the game, got a George Springer home run and led 1-0. And then the Mariners pitching staff went on to retire 23 of the next 24 batters. And the Mariners poke their way to a victory. And, of course, obviously the big dumper is Cal Raleigh, and the big daddy Vladdy is Guerrero. Raleigh with 60 home runs, Julio Rodriguez with 32, Suarez with a combined 49 bombs, Naylor's hit 29, Rosarina's hit 27. That's a pretty good group of long ball hitters. They got 238 home runs this season, the Seattle lineup. And then they got slap hitters. On any odd night, J.P. Crawford wins you a game, or as witnessed by Sunday night, Jorge Polanco. And the pitching staff, holy cow. I mean, it's led by the veteran Luis Castillo. You got Brian Wu, you got Logan Gilbert, you got George Kirby, and what we saw last night from Bryce Miller. Gave up a home run on the first pitch, and that's all that Toronto got. And a bullpen, 2 ex-Padres, Andres Munoz and Matt Brash. It's a really good baseball team. Of the opinion, this might be their time. Now, in terms of Toronto, they got VLADDY, only hit 25 home runs this season, but had a real good bounce-back year at the plate, hit 292. Springer's finally healthy. He hit 303. Unfortunately, no Bo Bichette. Re-injured the knee on Saturday running. He's had a knee problem for a couple of weeks. He's not on the ALCS roster. Addison Barger, shortstop's got 21 bombs. The young portly catcher, Alejandro Kirkin, hit home runs. Nathan Luxkin hit home runs. Off the bench, Dalton Varshokin hit home runs. It's not a bad hitting Toronto team. And the pitching staff, Glausman was pretty good last night, and they got Bassett back off the DL. They've got Bieber, who came from Cleveland at the trade deadline, the ex-Padre and Brewer, Eric Lauer. And they got this youngster who's shown up in the final 2 weeks of the season and has pitched his way into the rotation, Treyu Savage, and they got a pretty good closer in Jeff Hoffman. I mean, this is a really good Toronto team. And do you know that the first time in the history of civilization, the Blue Jays have knocked the National Hockey League off the airwaves? That's all they're talking about in Canada on sports talk radio and on television are the Jays. They're not talking about the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Edmonton Oilers and Vancouver. That is a Dominion-wide team that's supporting them. But at the end of the day, I think there's just way too much Seattle there. Pitching and power hitting there. I don't think this thing is going to be 7, and I don't think it's going to be a Toronto victory. That's my spin. What's yours?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm all in on Seattle. I mean, this is terrific for them and for the fan base. The Blue Jays, it was kind of weird. I mean, they sort of quietly won the AL East, you know, and because I remember the Yankees and the Red Sox were competitive there for a while, and I sort of forgot about the Blue Jays. And all of a sudden now they're making this great run. But yeah, Toronto is a pretty cool city. I mean, we visited there a few years ago and really enjoyed it. I mean, it's a bigger city than I ever imagined. It's huge, the whole Metroplex. So yeah, this is a fun series. You know, to me, it's not as interesting as the Brewers-Dodgers series, but if Seattle were to advance, I mean, that would be a really special thing. And it's good to see some West Coast baseball, you know, have some success.
Okay, that's where we are. You got an opinion about what's gone on in the American League? Your fans forum chat box is open. Jump on board. And by the way, because we do sports talk the way it should be done with topics and opinions, we want you to give us a thumbs up. We want you to give us a 5-star rating. We want you to hit the follow button so everybody else knows what we're doing. We're not done with baseball because now we're going to talk about stuff off the field. John?
Yeah, we are. And look at this headline. Baseball state of shock.
Yeah, let's talk about the notebook here. Philadelphia. They are absolutely stunned. There's a Phillies team that won 96 games and stopped hitting in the playoff series against the Dodgers. Schwarber, Turner, Harper, top of the batting order, John, 3 for 35 in that playoff series, lost to the Dodgers.
Just like the Padres.
It's just absolutely stunning. Cross the border, Yankee fan, pissed. Yankees, $234 million payroll. Aaron Judge hits 500 in postseason. The rest of the team hits 188. And the Yankee pitching staff obviously caved in. Stanton, Bellinger, Grisham totally disappeared, and Judge couldn't do it by himself. Meanwhile, we're talking about the Padres situation and the response. At the end of the day, A.J. Preller's composite record in San Diego with his blueprint, his way of doing business, is 816 wins and 870 losses. That's a hell of a lot. So we'll talk about accountability. Are you holding the general manager more accountable, or are you standing in the clubhouse looking at Machado and Tatis for letting you down again in postseason? Or is it just a case of bad luck with all the pitching injuries? Next story, opening statements as we speak at this hour in the Tyler Skaggs drug death lawsuit against the Angels. The witness list is unbelievable. The storyline, Skaggs' family is suing the Angels, saying you should have known your PR director was an addict and was dealing drugs to players. The Angels' opening statement late this afternoon will be he had a drug problem with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He lied about it. He came here. His problem got worse. He killed himself. This is going to be a firestorm of testimony, very emotional during this trial. And one other baseball note. We've talked about Tampa Bay, Suncoast, small budget. This is an amazing story. Franchise has been sold. Stuart Sternberg over the weekend informed all 520 employees who work for the Tampa Bay Rays he was giving them bonuses from the profits he made with the sale of the team to a Jacksonville consortium, which has now officially taken over the operation of the team. Stuart Sternberg has given 520 employees bonuses of $25,000 up to $500,000
Cool.
based on their experience, length of service with the club. He's spending $35 million that he could put in his pocket to give bonuses to everybody who worked for the Rays over his 21 years ownership. That is really different. That's really cool. So, John, go ahead. Talk about what's in the notebook. Pull a page there. Tell me what you think.
That Philly fan, yeah, they've got to be so pissed. I mean, that final game, okay, you figure it was a 2-1 score. Obviously, it ended on that horrible error, that poor kid threw the ball and panicked and should have thrown it to first. But their other runs scored on a bases loaded walk, on a decision, if I remember right. Didn't they walk Ohtani to pitch to Mookie?
And then couldn't get the ball over the plate.
Exactly. And so I was watching that and I was thinking to myself, oh, here go the Dodgers, just kind of strolling in as they always do. But yeah, if you're a Philly fan, you must have been just freaking out about that whole thing. And I mean, Philly fans, Yankee fans are passionate fans. And they expect to win. I mean, I thought that the Phillies would get to the NLCS this year. I mean, if it wasn't for the surprising Brewers, I think the Phillies and the Dodgers are definitely the class of the National League. It just was a shame that series didn't have more firepower than I expected.
So I flew home from my cottage on Friday, and I walked through the concourse at Philadelphia International Airport.
Oh, no.
I cannot tell you how sullen everybody looked, either wearing Philly gear or Eagle gear, because they got beat Thursday night by the New York Giants.
They did. It was a bad day.
Bad 24 hours in Philadelphia, and winter hasn't even gotten there yet.
I know. And they don't have Santa Claus to boo. So, yeah, so I don't know. So Phillies, I mean, by the way, the Angels situation, I mean, that's just awful. I mean, we've been talking about how this trial's coming, but nothing crazy has been exposed yet in the trial, or has it even begun?
Well, the testimony will probably begin tomorrow.
Okay.
Opening statements late this afternoon as we are speaking.
Okay, so that's when we're going to get some of the juicy material here, and we'll find out if there's more to the story. And then, by the way, for that Rays owner, yeah, good on you, dude. I mean, he made a bank. He's helping out. It's kind of like a unofficial profit share bonus plan that he cooked up, and I love that. Share the wealth. Good for him.
Kind of like radio.
Yeah, what did you get in radio?
Oh, you worked 28 years in sports talk radio in San Diego. Here's a brown envelope. Sign your name. Get your stuff out of the office.
Yeah.
Never a thank you. I didn't get any farewell party. Just amazing. Okay.
Still bitter?
No, I'm just the facts.
I'm joking with you, man.
That's the facts, Jack, from Bill Murray's movie, right?
Yeah, that was just
okay. You want to comment from the notebook? Feel free. Jump on board. Because we cover it all, we're going from baseball. And we're going to run around the street here to talk NFL football. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, the Chargers and the Dolphins. Ugly win is still a win.
That's what Bobby Ross used to say to me. They don't grade you on aesthetics in the NFL. Did you get a W? Did you wind up with an L? Chargers, ugly win, still a win in Miami. Probably deserved to lose. That would have been horribly gut-wrenching if that had happened. So at the end of the day, the Chargers beat Miami 29-27. Justin Herbert just plays Houdini again. He took so many hits. He was in so much trouble. He got out of trouble. He made a pass to Ladd McConkey. McConkey broke a tackle at the line of scrimmage, went 42 yards, set him up for one of Cam Dicker's 5 field goals. The rookie running back, Kamani Vidal, came out of nowhere I've never seen him run like this.
Yeah.
He ran for $124. The defense was in to his face through the course of the day. The Chargers won a game they probably should have lost. Offensive line was miserable. But that's a prime example of why all those guys were on the unemployment line last week, and the Chargers had to sign them out of desperation. And all those guys committed all those penalties, allowed all those hits, and Herbert still made enough plays for them to get the victory. Tua was out of sync. I thought Mike McDaniel's play calling was really damn bizarre. He might be the next guy who's going to get fired. But an ugly win still counts as a win in the National Football League. But my heart just feels like Justin Herbert is an injury waiting to happen. He's taken so many hits. And my heart is of the opinion the Chargers are living on borrowed time because they're about to go into the teeth of the schedule and they're going to start playing real people, not Miami. So, but I'll take the victory. Ugly win is still a win per Bobby Ross.
Yeah, I mean, they were talking about on the broadcast. I can't remember his name. He was the starting right tackle, and they literally got him off the street. I mean, he'd only been with the team for a few days.
Bobby Hart hadn't played in 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, dude's probably working. I don't know what he's doing. He's probably not playing football. And so he's got to get up there and he's got to be able to understand the timing and the sequence of the play calling. And you got like some friggin' NFL defensive end, like breathing down your face. I mean, that's got to be really nerve-wracking. It's no wonder those guys jumped a lot, but it's just, there's no way they can be a competitive team with that offensive line all over the place.
And we'll see if Joe Alt gets back and how long from now he gets back. So Chargers got a win. Thank you, Herbert Houdini.
Yeah.
Okay, we go from that. Let's go to the scoreboard because we got a lot of storylines here to yak about.
Yeah, we got the defense rules of the day.
Detroit, Kansas City. The Chiefs ambushed the Lions. They hit them with formations that they had not shown all season. They went spread. They went quick, no huddle. Patrick Mahomes had spacing. Receivers ran precise routes. Ball was out of there quick. Lions just could not get to Mahomes. Mahomes had 288 all-purpose yards running and throwing, 3 touchdowns. Kelsey played his best game of the season, and Kansas City beat Detroit 30-17. That was quite an impressive performance by KC. Now, do you want to jump in my face now? Because I was the one who said era over. Do you want to say it now, or are you going to withhold judgment and see if Kansas City can continue?
Yeah. You said it was time to turn the page. They're creeping back into it.
They ambushed Dan Campbell's Lions with the formations.
The fight?
Oh, yeah, at the end. That's terrible.
Yeah.
And the NFL is going to nail that guy. Again, Brian Branch. He got fined $23,000 2 weeks ago for cheap shots.
That was dumb.
So this would be probably $46,000.
Yeah.
And he broke Juju Smith's nose.
Wow.
With a shot.
Yeah.
Just absolutely amazing. Yeah. So Kansas City wins. And suddenly the AFC West is tightening up again.
Window is closing.
That's right. Okay, let's go. Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay takes out San Francisco. Tough afternoon. 49ers lose. 49ers lose 2 more starters. Very bad injury to the linebacker Fred Warner. Fractured and dislocated ankle. Major surgery. Gone for the year. Bucs defense. 6 sacks, couple of interceptions. Mac Jones took a beating, even though he threw for a ton of yards. And how about Baker Mayfield? Throws for 256, and all he's doing is just keeps winning and winning and winning with the Buccaneers. Denver versus big win. Broncos ugly win, 13-11. You kidding me? Over the New York Jets.
That was awful.
In London. No, what was not awful was their defense.
Oh, yeah, but it was a crazy game to watch.
Denver, defense, 9 sacks. They have 30 sacks on the season now. Number 1 rated defense in the league. So they had 9 sacks, just absolutely dismembered the Jets' offense. New York was 2 of 15 on thirds. And at the end of the day, they had 82 yards in offense. And yet they're sticking with Justin Fields as a starting quarterback with the Jets. Next one, Seattle. Seahawks went cross-country and punched Jacksonville in the mouth, beat them 20-12. Sam Darnold, 295 yards on the road. Seahawks defense, 7 sacks of Trevor Lawrence. That was pretty impressive. Rams struggled on offense, got it done on defense. Rams beat Baltimore 17-3. Sean McVay's defense had 4 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, but the Los Puka Nacua ankle injury in that game. So that's got to be a concern going forward. Pittsburgh, Cleveland. Here comes the blitz. Steelers, 6 quarterback sacks of the rookie, Dylan Gabriel. And yet he did not turn the ball over. He struggled. They exposed him. They threw 52 passes in the course of the game. He wound up throwing he went 29 for 52 for like 220. He didn't turn it over. I think that kid quarterback might be special. Raiders, they beat Tennessee. Max Crosby and the boys, 6 quarterback sacks, 3 takeaways of the rookie Cam Ward, who is just really struggling. They just don't have a lot around him. Carolina, surprise of the day. They beat Jerry Jones' Dallas Cowboys. A very impressive performance. Panthers 410 yards in offense. Ex-Cowboy running back Rico Dowdle, big physical specimen. He ran for 206 a week ago, ran for 183 against his former Cowboy teammates. That was pretty impressive. And then, of course, there was the Eagles' shocker, losing to the New York Giants. Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterboot just continue to make plays during the course of the field. Eagles' offensive line is battered. Eagles' offensive line, they have not been the same since Jason Kelsey decided to be on your TV and on podcast.
Yeah.
Because he retired, and then since that point in time, they've had injuries and failures in free agency. It's just not the same offensive team. And Saquon Barkley can't run the ball because there's no space to run the ball. So, John, all things NFL, notebook is open. Pick a game you want to talk about what you saw.
Well, first of all, yeah, Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo are just so fun to watch. And even in the post game on Amazon Prime, Scatterbo rips off his shirt, he's up there with Fitzgerald doing the whole thing. 2 great kids, and they've kind of bonded, so the Giants to me are always sort of this sort of kind of boring team that was
not anymore.
Not anymore. No.
Yeah, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yeah, it's something like that. So, it's kind of a cool storyline. The other New York team. You're talking about them with the Broncos, and I watched that game. It was like in London. And why? Okay, Aaron Glenn's there. He was a defensive coordinator, right? And he seems like a good guy. You want him to have success, but why did they put all their money in on Justin Fields? I mean, he looked terrible in that game.
Well, they have a good offensive line. They've had injury problems at wide receiver. Garrett Wilson got hurt again yesterday. He's got a knee injury. He's the only legitimacy they have at the skill position. It's just and Fields, he's not turning the ball over, but he's taken so many sacks. To me, it's too much freelance football. I'm in trouble. I'm going to run. Bingo, only takes an 8-yard sack, 12-yard sack, etc.
But in the game also, he was just missing his targets.
Yep.
I mean, he wasn't very accurate. And I'm like,
he's on his third team. He's no different now than he was before.
Exactly. So why does this guy keep getting extra chances? I mean, and especially with Aaron Glenn, I mean, you need to make a strong first impression. What is he hoping to do? Maybe he thought he'd have a steady Eddie quarterback and try to win on defense? I don't know.
Possibly, but Aaron Glenn gave him a vote of confidence today at the Monday press briefing. They're not changing quarterbacks. I don't think the alternative, Tyrod Taylor, is much different, but just that Justin Fields, as great an athlete as he is, maybe they'll make him a wide receiver because I don't think he can play the league at quarterback at the level he needs to play at.
Yeah, careful about converting black quarterbacks to wide receivers. That's a thing.
Okay, we go from that. Last topic on the table, we're going to get to halftime, and then we're going to talk college football, and we're going to talk about jobs. Halftime on this Monday bonus podcast. It's brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. We talk extensively about renovation in the home, the kitchen, the bathroom, the guy's room, man caves. And then we talk about windows and doors. But you might be a do-it-yourselfer. You might be like Mr. Fix-It over here. You might want tools. Well, Dixieline can serve you there too. John, that's my cue to you. Just talk about all the things that Dixieline got.
Yeah, check out these tools, man. I mean, they got all the great stuff. All the major brands, they're always running smoking deals, on DeWalt and Milwaukee and all these power tools. They have the reps from those companies that'll come in and do these tool fairs where they'll demonstrate the tools, and they have, the factory rep there that'll break it down for you. So, these guys are fantastic. Dixieline is the best fit. If you're a homeowner, a builder, a contractor, build it, fix it, enjoy it, man. That's what they do.
At Dixieline. This podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber. 9 locations to serve you. Just go to Dixieline.com. See all the things they have to offer. We are at halftime. We do sports talk the way it should be done. And then when we're done telling you what we think, you're going to tell us what you think. It's called Fans Forum. This thing is exploding today, John. Really? For people who are new to this podcast, how do they get involved with Fans Forum on the live stream?
Okay, here's how you get involved by typing your comment or question in the live chat on YouTube, X, or on Facebook. I see them here on my screen. And so while Hacksaw is usually on the camera by himself, I'm usually reading them and clicking them. So it's like the old Jim Rome line, have a take, don't suck, and the best takes are the ones that I put up on the board. So fill up the line and we'll get your question or comment involved.
And a reminder, you like sports, please check my website. I write every night on it. It's there first thing in the morning. Just go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com. The best 15 minutes in sports, as well as my one man's opinion column. And I have opinions on virtually everything. And it's all there for you. It's absolutely free on LeeHacksawHamilton.com. I want you to tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Share, subscribe. When you subscribe on YouTube, you will get the alerts every time we put new video up on the YouTube channel in addition to the podcast. And we do that 5 to 7 to 10 times a week. We add on things. You'll get the alerts to that. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a follow. Give us a 5-star rating. It helps us enormously. Okay, John, let's go to the second half before we get to the Fans Forum segment of the show. We're going to talk about hirings and firings, jobs and unemployment.
Yeah, there's been like some firing squads lately. Look at these teams.
Okay, you got the wrong one.
No, I brought it up. I got it. I got you.
Let's talk about what just happened. First fatality today at about noontime in the National Football League. Tennessee Titans fired Brian Campbell. Brian Campbell been there a year and a half. 1-5 this season, 4-19 in the year and a half. They've got all kinds of problems. Their offense is just faltered terribly. The defense, which was the strength of the team, has caved in. His play calls were very suspect. His game management was even worse along the way. He's out. He could not make progress with the number 1 draft pick, Cam Ward. It's been very painful to see, but that's what happens. Good college quarterback goes to the top of the draft board, likely goes to a really bad team. Cam Ward has had games where he threw for 110 yards. They've had games where their offense was 210 or 280. The bigger problem in Nashville is just not the roster. The bigger problem is ownership. The Adams family has let this thing collapse. They ran Mike Vrabel off after a couple of playoff seasons, and they had 2 substandard seasons. They are 17-40 now in the last 3.5 years, and just seem to be devoid of leadership and devoid of players. So this is an ownership problem, in addition to obviously what's happened with Brian Callahan, who's now out as head coach. Penn State, just stunning. Number 2 in the country to a 3-game losing streak. They're going to have to write a check for $49 million to James Franklin, the head coach. Franklin's record at Penn State was 104-45, which is unbelievably impressive. But his record against top 10 teams was the worst of all time. He was 1-18 in Big Ten games when those Big Ten teams they played were ranked inside the top 10. He's 5-21 against the best teams in the country who ranked in the top 10. He's gone. Going to be a mad dash to see whom they hire. Hot name, I don't know if you can pry him loose because he signed a contract extension. He's done a good job at Iowa State. Matt Campbell seems to be a hot name. Second hot name is Manny Diaz, currently doing a great job at Duke, former Miami Hurricanes coach. Those are two hot names there. James Franklin, done, Penn State. And the scene at State College on Saturday, 33,000 empty seats. Whoa. At Beaver Stadium. The place seats 106. 33,000 empty, and when they introduced the lineups and James Franklin was introduced, they booed him.
That's a signal.
Big time signal. Oregon State, constantly in trouble, constantly trying to fix and rebuild, has fired Coach Trent Bay, 0-7. He's an Oregon State grad. He's an assistant that was promoted. It's the worst start they've had in 34 years in Corvallis. And the stunning thing there is they went into the NIL and transfer portal, and they got a really good quarterback from Duke, Malik Murphy. And he puts up big-time yards, and they have no other players on the roster. And they're just not competing. So Trent Bay has been removed. That's a massive rebuild job. Now, that being said, there is history. They fixed this thing, and this thing has been down for a long period of time, dating back into the 70s. But Mike Riley rallied that thing.
Yeah, he did.
Then Dennis Erickson came in. He rallied it a second time. Riley is there as a consultant, but I don't know about the resources, whether Oregon State has enough resources to be a true big-time player, but that job is open. Also open is Alabama Birmingham. Trent Dilfer, who is, I thought, a very strange hire. He, of course, is a legendary Fresno State quarterback, played in the NFL for a chunk of time, went to TV at ESPN. Then he went after he walked away from television, got into high school coaching, did very well at a private school, but he got hired at Alabama Birmingham. It was 9-21, not competitive at all. They hit the eject button on him. So you want to talk about the Titans? You want to talk about the mess at Penn State? Go ahead, John.
Why did the Titans get rid of Vrabel? I mean, it seemed like he was doing pretty well there.
Conflict with the general manager, who eventually got fired too.
Really?
This all goes back to ownership. When you got garbage ownership who makes bad hires at general managers, and the general manager then doesn't get along with the coach, who I tend to think has a proven track record, this whole thing is unraveled.
Did you say the ownership or the Adams family?
Bud Adams, the late Bud Adams.
Oh, Bud Adams. Okay. By the way, the Oregon State situation, I remember early in the season, Fresno State went up there and beat them. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching that Oregon State coach, and man, he was pissed. And he was rolling his eyes at his team. He just had like steam coming out of his ears. It was clearly not working. And that was like 4 or 5 weeks ago. I mean, yeah, that's brutal that he got the boot, but that's the harsh reality.
He got a good quarterback. This kid from Duke put up all kinds of yards.
Yeah, he
did
good.
Year.
Yeah, you're right.
Malik Murphy. So, real tough time in coaching. We go from that. Let's talk about the games on the weekend. College football here, John.
Yeah, here we go. Scoreboard Saturday.
Oregon lost at home to Indiana. You got to be kidding me.
That was awesome.
What I saw in the second half, I could not believe. Indiana just progressively got tougher and tougher and tougher to deal with. Dante Moore, the young quarterback who's really played well for the Ducks, totally unraveled in the second half. Oregon had 52 yards in the second half at home at Autzen Stadium, which is one of the toughest places in the country to play. Dante Moore sacked 6 times, picked off a couple of times along the way. And I will tell you, Fernando Mendoza, the transfer from Cal, that quarterback, all he does at Indiana is just make plays. Cignetti's got a really tough-ass football team and quarterbacks that don't make mistakes. I mean, that was a shocker. Indiana wins at Oregon. USC, they're rolling. That was a really good game against the Michigan Wolverines. Southern Cal posted Jay Maiava, throws for 265 against a really good Michigan defense. Young running back King Miller came off the bench, ran for 156. I was very impressed with Bryce Underwood, that raw 18-year-old freshman. Mm-hmm. He threw for 207, couple of scores in the Michigan loss, but Southern Cal is really explosive. UCLA wins its second in a row. This is hard to believe. Now, they go to Michigan State, and they jumped on them early. Nico Ayama-Luava, another big statistic game for the Bruins. Now, Michigan State's got a set of problems. Jonathan Smith had done a nice job when he first got there. he put a lot of trust in a quarterback who came in from Oregon State with him. His name is Aiden Childs. And they're not throwing the football at all. Childs does not look right. And they're not running it very well. And suddenly Michigan State's really struggling to move the football at all. So the Bruins, they ran for 238 in addition to the quarterback throwing the football. This hard to believe UCLA's won 2 in a row. San Diego State, 5-1 on the season. And it's like a light bulb has gone on. All of a sudden, that quarterback, Jaden Denegal, understands progressions, understands movement of the football, movement of the pocket, reads. He's playing much better. Jordan Napier, he had 5 catches for $110, had a 75-yard punt return. This kid is playing himself into being a National Football League draft pick. Defense just continues to play lights out. Collective running game, 205 yards on the ground. Aztecs have won 5 of 6 out of the gate. And I knew they were going to get better under Sean Lewis. That being said, but I haven't played anybody. I'm sorry, John. I hate to throw cold water on you, but now that litmus test is coming. They play at Fresno State when they come off the bye. They follow that with Boise. Then they go to Hawaii, which is setting all types of passing records, and a game on the islands is really hard. So the next 3 weeks will really be a credibility check for how far along this program is. 5-1, pretty impressive. Vegas, UNLV is 6-0. Defense optional. Vegas beats Air Force 51-48 on Saturday, John. 1,200 yards in offense.
How does Air Force score that many points?
Because they ran the damn ball, but they lost.
They still do the wishbone there?
All 428 yards of it rushing, and they lost.
Wow.
That's hard to believe because they couldn't stop the Rebels, who had 603 yards, moving the football up and down the field. Vegas is the real deal. Here's what I propose. If the Aztecs are real, and the Aztecs post a couple big victories here when they start playing real people in a week, how much is the Aztecs in Vegas in the Mountain West Championship game? Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Bring it on.
But we have to see if that happens.
Yeah.
Hawaii, Utah State. Nobody's talking about this kid, but they should. He was not the starting quarterback at the beginning of the season. And Micah Alejado, he threw for 413 and 5 touchdowns in a landslide win over Utah State. The week prior, he threw for 480 yards. Hawaii under Timmy Chang is just heaving the ball all over the place on the islands. So they're going to be a player. The last 5 weeks of the Mountain West schedules for these teams, Boise, Fresno, Hawaii, San Diego State, man, they're going to play each other. There were some really great games last 5 weeks. So go ahead. Could you believe what you saw at Autzen Stadium in Eugene? Can you believe UCLA? Go ahead, John.
Yeah, for sure. That was the surprise, and in Indiana, Hoosier fan, man, they've got to be thrilled. They're number 3 in the nation.
Yep.
I mean, when has that ever happened with football. Hoosier football?
No.
That's unbelievable. And Cignetti had a great line. He's like, hey, you want to know about me? Just Google me. All I do is win. Isn't that great? So good for him. UCLA is like, they did a 180. I mean, was Deshaun Foster that bad? Is it
incompetent?
So it's addition by subtraction, you think?
I would assume, but there's still the second half of the schedule to play. They've got just to continue to do it, but the quarterback is making a ton of plays. Hope you enjoy it because he keeps dropping all these hints. I'll be one and done. Transfer portal is next for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's chaos. He probably doesn't want to stick around. And, oh, by the way, the Aztecs, it's just so great. I mean, The way they've turned their season around. And, I mean, wasn't it like 41-0 or 44-0 at one point in that game? I mean, it was just a beatdown on all 3 part, offense, defense, special teams. I'm just so thrilled for Sean Lewis and thrilled for, Aztec for life, Aztec Nation for sticking with this team, those few hardcore people,
If they can continue this track, there's no excuse for Aztecs for life not to show up, put their butts in seats and sell out every game at Snapdragon because the team is 5-1. But Let's see what they do at Fresno.
Well,
That's
they're not just
one.
5-1. They're like an exciting, entertaining, throw the ball down the field, vertical game, 5-1. I mean, and the running backs do a great job. So it's like we had all these doubts about Sean Lewis and is this going to work? And then all of a sudden, boom. I mean, they were getting points, for the top 25 rankings, weren't they? I mean, they got a couple of votes.
End of the day, let's see what they do with Fresno, Boise, Hawaii. I mean, those are really 3 tough games.
Oh, yeah.
Still to go. Back end of the schedule is going to make or break them in terms of growth. How have they arrived? Okay, that's all things college football. Feel free. Jump on board. We want to talk about the scoreboard and the games. We got hoops to talk about.
Yeah, the NBA is kicking off. Here we go.
Yeah, we're about a week away from the start of the season. And the Lakers don't have King James, do not have LeBron. I can attest how hard this is. Not hitting a 3-point shot. I can attest when you got sciatica, it's hard. And LeBron James has acute sciatica, and they're talking 4 to 6 weeks with the injections. They don't know how many minutes he's going to be able to play. They don't know if they can calm this thing down. It started in his buttock and his hip. It's down to his leg. Been there, done that. It is really hard, and I'm not trying to play in the NBA. So that's a big issue there for the Lakers. Clippers, this is a really weird story. They've got, I think, one of the oldest teams from an age perspective, experience perspective in the league. Do you know who does not have a job as of this afternoon still? Russell Westbrook. How can that be? He's unsigned.
He's like a great bench guy right now.
Is he being blackballed?
No, I don't know. He must be if no one's picking him up.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard for me to believe that there's nobody out there that can use this guy, but there's a track record of the way he plays, the erratic way he plays, the persona that he presents, etc. So Russell Westbrook is not signed at all. Milwaukee. Giannis has gone public. Told the New York media, stop writing about me. Stop trying to create a story.
Good for him.
New York media is going crazy. They have a timeline. When is Giannis going to announce he wants out, wants to be traded, willing to waive the no-trade clause? Giannis had already indicated in early summer, I'm staying loyal to the Milwaukee Bucks. But the New York media just has been relentless. Philadelphia proves the point you can have all the success in your life, have all the money you could ever earn and want to spend, and have it fall apart. Allen Iverson publicly confirming that his life has totally unraveled. It all started in 2013 when he was forced into retirement because of injuries, that he took solace by becoming an alcoholic, and then he lost his wife, and then he lost his money. It's a real tough story for one of the great personalities and one of the great individual players in the game. Yeah. But he has openly admitted this past weekend his life has gone that way. Really sad story. WNBA, you got the owners, and the NBA owns a chunk of the WNBA. So you got the owners and the union trying to negotiate a new collective bargaining agreement. And the union stance is, we're not talking to you until you get rid of her. They want Kathy Engelbert removed as the commissioner of the WNBA. The aftermath of all the rude, crude things she said about players, get on your knees, you ought to be thankful. We've given you a platform to make all this, just god-awful stuff.
Really?
They don't want to go back to the negotiating table to the point they're putting this whole thing in jeopardy right now, because the NBA owners who own a chunk of the WNBA are allowing Engelbert to remain on as commissioner after all the derisive things she said about the product. The women are the Caitlin Clarks, the Angel Reeses of the world are what make the WNBA great. And she had derogatory comments to make about them.
What are you doing?
So, John, go ahead. You ever had sciatica? Damn.
I knew a guy that had sciatica. And I know you come into the podcast studio a few times moaning and groaning, but it's got to be like one of the top 3 sports journalist injuries of all time, right? I mean, come on.
I really feel for LeBron.
Yeah.
And this is the wear and tear factor in the NBA. How do you play with that injury?
You don't play. I mean, so, this is more signals that LeBron is like, pushing the limits of his capability.
Yep. It's
like an old man thing, when you got the bad sciatica. Good on Giannis for kind of, snapping back. Sometimes he's too nice, and I think he needs to tell the media, hey, shut up, quit this. I'm dedicated to my team. And yeah, the WNBA commissioner should be promoting the league, not throwing their stars under the bus. I mean, that's just dumb. So, but it's great that basketball's starting. I mean, we're still in the preseason though, right? I mean,
one more week, and then it's going to go. And I mean, do we think that the OKC is going to repeat? The whole world thinks OKC is going to repeat, but injuries change everything.
Sure. It's fun to start talking about
That's where we are. We're talking NBA basketball. We go from that. Last topic on the table, Hockey Hotline is open for business.
Yeah, for the Edmonton Oilers at the top of the list.
Let's just talk about what's happened in the last calendar week. All these signings to big money contracts of the guys who are soon to be free agents. And this all started with what happened up in Edmonton, where Connor McDavid elected not to ask for an all-time record $18 million, but to sign a contract for $12.5 million per year so the Oilers could keep their whole roster intact. And the end result, he's getting flack. He's getting flack from other players, getting flack from his own union for not taking it to the next level. Because, of course, in negotiations, per John Riley, the capitalist, you have every right to demand more money than the last guy got, but Connor McDavid didn't. He's making $12.5 million. Well, they turned around in Las Vegas and they gave Jack Eichel, their star center, $13.5 million on an extension. And Eichel's a very good player, but he's not Connor McDavid, but he's making more than Connor McDavid is. And then Winnipeg gave Kyle Clifford $12.5 million. He's making more than Connor McDavid's making too. He's a fine player, but he's not Connor McDavid. So I don't know, is the criticism of the Oilers star right? He's doing what he's doing because he's made so much money. He's doing what he's doing because he wants to keep that roster intact so they go back to the Stanley Cup Finals. He's not pulling a Juan Soto out there. What do you think?
This is always a tough thing because the unions always want everybody to make max. And when you take something less, veterans get upset, because you're moving the bar down. But, when Tom Brady does it, everyone says, oh, that's Tom Brady. He's the team player. We all love Tom Brady. When someone else does it, then they get crap, So I think it's a double standard.
Okay. That's all things. Hot topics on the table. Now it's your turn to join us, Fans Forum. This podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. For the first time ever in the history of Sports Talk Radio, in the history of this podcast, I'm going to shut up.
You're going to shut up?
I'm going to shut up and let the people on the Fans Forum chat box take over. Of course, I reserve the right to tell you you're right or you're wrong, but go ahead, John. It's your segment. You're the captain. Don't drive this podcast off the road. Go ahead.
Hacksaw, man of the people. Here we go. David, thank you, David. Hey, Dodgers didn't have Ohtani, Snell, Glasnow in July. Dodger starters are healthy, and this is a different bullpen from regular season. Love the Brewers, but this isn't the Phillies' great pitching. Dodgers bats will wake up.
I think the Dodgers are going to beat Milwaukee, and I think it's not going to go 7. At this point, Milwaukee is a little thin in pitching in the starting rotation. They're talking about taking Mizorowski out of the bullpen and putting him back in the rotation, and talking about Jose Quintana, who's been on the DL, putting him back into the rotation. So I just think the Dodgers have way too many power bats, and obviously the gold standard starting pitching. Buy that?
Dodgers. They're going to roll. I mean, the Brewers, it's funny on social media, the Dodger fans probably trying to say that they're the underdog, that it's David versus Goliath and the Dodgers are David, and come on, man. I mean, you guys need to play the victim too. I mean, the Dodgers are going to roll through this. I mean, I think 95% of the United States, if not the world, wants the Brewers to win. If you're not in LA or Japan, I mean, that's sort of the fan base. No one else in California is going to be rooting for the Dodgers. So I don't know. It's the Dodgers will probably move on, but Brewer fan, man, it's been over 40 years since they've been in the World Series.
They've had a great season. The average Joe drinking, what's the beer? The beer that made Milwaukee famous was Schmitz.
Well, it was Schlitz. There was a Schlitz.
Yeah, anyhow.
There's Old Styles up there. I went to the Old Style Brewery up in La Crosse.
Yeah, so that, average Joe's drinking beer, playing the evil empire.
Yeah, a bunch of cheeseheads, man.
Yeah, that's what it is. Hey, David, thanks for being with us. Then glad you enjoyed the topics on the table. John, go ahead. Next one.
Okay, next one. And let's go to our buddy Matthew. He says, hey, it's every manager's fault. They get overwhelmed with AJ, Machado, Tatis. Can't tell me there isn't toxicity. Last week, you swore the players weren't toxic.
Well, at the end of the day, John's of the opinion there's a deeper reasoning for why a guy would walk away from $4 million.
Totally.
I know him. I've dealt with him. I think his baseball IQ is through the charts. Is he old school? Mike Shildt sure has been. I think he's burned out. I was told he's single, does not have family, lives by himself. I was told he's there 12 to 14 hours every day at Petco. And because there is not a personal lifestyle to Mike Shildt, he goes home, he watches games, he thinks baseball. He gets up the next morning, he does it again. I tend to think the burnout factor just has to be beyond what anything I experience, and I burn out doing what I'm doing. But I think it's burnout because average guy would not walk away from a 90-win team, would not walk away from that kind of money unless mentally and physically he was torturing himself and he just didn't want to do it anymore. No, it doesn't add up, because
Melvin looked like he had checked out. All right. Mm-hmm. But Shildt was very engaged through the whole process, and even when, the media started getting a little snippy with him and he got snippy back, it was overall, he was still really good. I mean, he was like a pro manager. He was a company man manager. He was always defending his guy manager. He would always, celebrate the stars, but always prop up the one dude that, had the bunt to move the sacrifice. He was always praising his guys. And it just seemed to me that he was like in a pretty sweet spot. So if there is mental toll, if there's toxicity, it's not coming from him, So I don't know. Again, I'd love to be a fly on the wall, man, in the Padre clubhouse.
Okay. That's where we are. I think it's one thing. He's intimating Mr. Conspiracy in that corner of the world. It's much deeper than that. We'll see. But I think generally, everybody right now on this podcast of the opinion, Padres got a lot of problems to deal with. Holy cow. From a roster standpoint, a budget standpoint, obviously from a managerial standpoint now, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's brutal. Look at this. This is a great comment from Angel. This is what I often preach. He says, hey, won't be long until ESPN does a 30 for 30 on the San Diego sports curse.
Call him for background.
But it's real. I mean, the Padres, they never get over the top. The Chargers would always blow games in the most ridiculous, insane ways. And it's not just the holy roller. I mean, there's a million examples. The Clippers had all of their problems and Bill Walton and his ankles and knees. And then we had the San Diego State team that went to March Madness, or March Madness got canceled when they were 30 wins and 2 losses. We had what was the one with Kawhi with the Aztecs, and they were playing UConn, and that one dude flopped, on Jamal Franklin. He's had a long career in the NBA. Can't remember his name. I mean, there's been so many things. The San Diego Spurs sports curse. I mean, thank God the weather's decent here.
Thank God it doesn't impact talk show hosts.
Well, there's plenty to talk about. Sometimes, man, we're just, we need a tissue. It's just so brutal.
Okay. Thanks, Angel.
Okay, let's go here to RJM21. Hey, Shildt got tired of Manny and Tatis and all the BS this toxic organization brought on him. Also, the owner passes away, and he had to deal with the BS they brought too. Padres are a clown organization.
Well, they got some internal problems, and I think the burning question, will the Seidlers continue to own this franchise? There's a certain segment of people that I run with of the opinion it's going to be sold because the profit they can make by selling a hot property right now. Others say no. So only time will tell what will happen there. But it's been a great 5-year run. As concerned as this host might be about holes in the pitching staff, the budget, etc., This has been a really electric 5 years of baseball that Preller and his blueprint have given us. They just haven't crossed the threshold to be in the World Series yet. But my private fear is they're about to step away from that. If they're not going to continue to do business the way they've done business, then they won't be drawing 3.43 million fans per game at the prices they're charging. So I'm just kind of concerned about the overall big picture. And that leader, Shildt, stepping aside this morning, I mean, I was floored, but I know him and I've dealt with him and I know the private aspect of him. He's a baseball lifer. That's all he does. And I think you get to a point where you hit a wall and say, I don't want to do this anymore. Now, is there toxicity involved? Maybe. Is there friction involved from Mr. Analytics upstairs? Maybe. Maybe that's part of it. Or maybe if I've made enough money and I don't want to do this anymore and I want to retire to North Carolina and enjoy life. Probably is a little bit of each of that.
Well, first of all, I'll guarantee you that RJM is a Dodger fan. Dodger fan loves smacking down the little brother. Okay. Yeah, it's just the whole story. We didn't get any hints of this, did we? No, I mean, throughout the whole season, and we thought, hey, we got a really solid manager. You know, like you said, the baseball IQ, although a lot of people did question the bunting and Luis Ariz batting second. But overall, I thought he did a fine job. So I don't know. I mean,
I'm stunned.
It is. So it makes you really wonder, like, what's Preller like behind the scenes? Is Preller just constantly pestering, Shildt and Melvin and creating all this friction? I mean, I don't know,
Like I say, the turnover in the manager's office, that's a lot of coming and going for some pretty good baseball people.
Yeah.
Over an 11-year window. We'll move on. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of comments about this particular situation.
Well, move through here.
Let's go. Get another one here from John. Whoever the Padres hire is going to be under a microscope and cause unrest among the fan base unless they somehow manage to talk to Bruce Bochy into coming back to San Diego. Does the Padres fan base have expectations? Oh, yeah, but no fan base in America deserves a championship more than San Diego.
Well, there's unhappiness everywhere. I'll tell you, New York, they are so enraged at Aaron Boone with the Yankees, but it's just not Boone. I mean, injuries and all the money spent and the underachieving the Yankees big guys have outside of Aaron Judge's collective success. So there's a lot of hot spots around Major League Baseball. This is just not a San Diego situation.
No, I mean, but this is what makes sports great. I mean, we get emotional about it. We follow the storylines. We have our favorite teams. You have the heroes and the villains. I mean, the whole thing is just sports is great entertainment, man. And yeah, I mean, some of us live and breathe this sort of thing. I mean, by the way, you ever run into a person that doesn't give a crap about sports at all?
Yeah. I got family members that don't know if the football has got air in it or stuffed with newspapers. All right, that's okay.
It's just to me, it's unimaginable that I could live a life without having some knowledge of what's happening in sports, even if it was just very peripherally.
Yeah, but people, I know people, my family, they spend more time about classical music,
really,
about food, about travel. That's okay. That's their chosen thing.
Yeah.
That's my thing is different.
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, but I love you for your thing. That's a soundbite right there.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, let's go to Pecky92. Hey, longtime listener who found a podcast just recently. Hey, should Mike Norvell be fired at Florida State? Hasn't beat ACC team in the last 13 games.
Yeah, I think he and Napier in Gainesville, they're the next two to go. I mean, it is amazing. We've had 8 head coaches fired in 6 weeks in college football. And all of a sudden, schools seem to have the resources to buy these contracts out, and the boosters are able to write the check to get rid of this guy. There's more firings probably to come pretty damn quickly. And I'm surprised. I mean, with the legacy and the heritage of Florida State football going back for decades, way back to the Bobby Bowden era, for them not to be able to recruit consistently. And quarterbacks had great quarterbacks at Florida, where the hell's the Tim Tebow's of the world now? So I think those are the next two coaches who are going to probably take it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Franklin and Penn State. I mean, $49 million, they got to pay that guy to walk away. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, obviously they lost some games they should have won, probably all three of those games. But did you see anything that he was doing that was wrong, that you think he was being an idiot, making stupid decisions?
Well, there's no Abdul Carter there to lead the defense. He's in the NFL. Mm-hmm. There's no Ty Warren there to lead the offense. That fullback, running back, tight end, he's playing in Indianapolis for the Colts. His offensive linemen are gone. And then Drew Allar got really badly hurt, career-ending injury, the quarterback. So Penn State is just not the same team. But historically, they just never had enough superstar, five-star athletes to compete. He's never had the kind of team speed up until recently. So that's probably why his record against top 10 teams has been so poor. So I just don't think they've been able to recruit those type of kids to Penn State. So his record was pretty impressive, 104-45. But when he played the big boys, he was not a big boy.
It's interesting how college football used to have coaches that were there for 4 decades. Mm-hmm. And now, they're turn and burn, man. I mean, you don't win, you're out.
The pressure is unbelievable. And booster money now is playing a big role in this, too. Well, I'll tell you, the faculty at Penn State, they're not happy at all because the faculty is in a frozen situation with contracts and hires. But we're going to write a check for $49 million to a fired football coach.
Yeah, they'd be pissed off about that for sure.
That's where we are.
By the way, do you think Sean Lewis, if let's say everything goes great for him this year, would he be a candidate to move on, or do you see that happening?
I think he's got a 5-year contract. I think he needs to stay here for a while and make this thing work. Brady Hoke was here, I think, for 3 years, did well, and he was gone to Michigan because he was a Michigan man, and that didn't work out. But we'll just see if Sean Lewis strings together something hot like a 10-2 season or 11-1 or whatever it is, and maybe somebody comes a calling. But at this point, nah, he's got to win. He's got three big games here. You already got him leaving. He's got to prove.
Well, you're right. Yeah,
I just prove to me he's going to win these next 3.
But see, that's what always happens in San Diego. Is usually when they get a good coach, then all of a sudden they're gone.
Oh, you're big on the curse.
Yeah, well, it is a curse. It's real.
Okay, move on. Thanks, 92.
Okay, let's go here to Casey. Hey, guys, how you see my Dodgers matching up versus the Brewers in the NLCS?
Win it in 5.
5.
Gold standard pitching, and those home run bats, any of those guys can explode. I'll be fascinated to see, because I don't know that Milwaukee's got the kind of left-handed pitching that can paralyze Ohtani, because that's what happened in Philadelphia. I mean, he got hit with every type of left-handed pitcher there, and I think he got spooked, but I don't know that Milwaukee's got anywhere near enough home run bats to stay in a ball game, because the Dodgers are going to hit some bombs along the way. And the Dodgers, let's go back, they got a gold standard starting rotation. I don't think Milwaukee's got enough power, and I don't think Milwaukee's got enough starting pitching right now.
Yeah, but Milwaukee just keep winning.
That's because you like Schlitz beer.
I love that they still have the mascot guy come down the slide when they had a home run. Wasn't it the Brewers? Didn't they trade a bunch of guys away at the trade deadline? Or am I getting confused with Arizona?
No, they lost 2 of their frontline starting pitchers. Corbin Burns left as a free agent.
Okay.
And then Brandon Woodruff was the other cornerstone anchor, and he blew his shoulder out. Took him 2 years to get back. He came back. He pitched really well. He was, I think, 6-2, but he injured his shoulder scapula right at the end of the season, and he can't pitch in the playoffs. They got rid of Counsell too. Well, he left. He left to go to Wrigley Field. But Pat Murphy was the designated guy to replace Craig Counsell when Counsell stepped aside. But they're still playing because they found 2 pitchers. One of their starting pitchers is Quinn Priester. He won 13 games this season, and he was a fringe journeyman. That's right. Now he has not pitched well recently. It's kind of all caught up to him. So I don't know if they've got enough at this point, but geez, 95 wins? That's pretty impressive.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, good for those guys. We got 2 former Padres interim managers facing off against each other.
Yeah.
How's that?
And neither one got an interview to stay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll say this, the bizarre thing, and I've had a long relationship with Roberts. My relationship with Pat Murphy was kind of short. And I found him so distant, which really stunned me. Like, he didn't want to do dugout interviews. He did not.
Really?
Yeah. He was a couple weeks into his tour as the interim manager, and he just kind of backed away from the media to the point they had to go get somebody else who would sit in the dugout, and would hold two separate meetings, one with Murphy, bunch of generic comments, another with an assistant from the front office had come in and would talk about the roster moves and whatever injury updates would have. It was to me, it was the strangest thing. And I had somebody tell me that Pat Murphy would rather spend more time talking to his friends on other clubs and feeling great about being a major league manager, but he wasn't paying attention to all the details that needed to be paid attention to. Now, he went to work for Council, and they had been at Notre Dame together, so there was a working relationship. And I think that Pat grew into the job, grew into the responsibility, and he's become much more easy to deal with in Milwaukee than he was here, because I said, so distant. Why are you so distant?
Well, he was the obvious choice to take that job. I think he had to finish the season, like a week or two, because he was the coach, I think, at Arizona State. And
no, he was in the minor leagues. He was at El Paso.
Well, yeah, but I think before that, wasn't he?
At Arizona State.
Yeah. But I think the point I'm getting to is that as he finished up, it was like the Padres didn't seem to have any real interest in him.
Well, he went 41-54, 41-56.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And he was just sort of
But he wasn't emotionally involved in the job.
But the crazy part is that the Brewers were very quick to snap him up. It's like they knew something that we didn't.
Well, Craig Counsell had been at Notre Dame when Pat was at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That's the link.
Okay. So it's turning out pretty good for him.
Yeah, so far. It really is interesting. Front office has done a good job stockpiling the roster, too. Yeah. Like I say, outside of Yelich and Churio, you can't name anybody that's in a batting order, but there's a lot of homegrown products.
Well, Freddie Peralta is one of their pitchers, is really good.
We had a 17-win season.
But there's no Willie Adames there. There's a lot of dudes that. Who? Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we move on. Thanks, Case.
Okay, let's go to Stevens. He goes, hey, where's your Phillies hat? I got so much crap on that.
You deserve to have a lot of crap.
I know. I was poking Dodger fan. I just happened to have the hat. I go, this sounds like a pretty good day to wear that hat. Okay. But yeah, fun stuff. Okay.
Steven, you have my permission to give him heat anytime.
Okay, let's go here to Bill. Hey, Lee, not sure you saw this. David Sampson, prior Miami general manager, says Preller took out bridge loans to cover salaries, and this will haunt Padres for years to come. Again, farm depleted and nothing won.
Well, close to winning, but they haven't gotten across the line. That's the big issue. They do have deferrals. But again, baseball's value, the franchise values, the revenue streams values, the TV ratings values have just rocketed. So as long as the product continues to be good on field, they're going to be printing money in the hallways down there at Petco Park. But again, this is a different type of Seidler leadership now, and they've kind of reeled him in. But I said on KUSI on Saturday morning, because they do the big sports package on Saturday morning, John almost fell out of bed when he saw what I said. And we'll talk about it maybe the end of this week. But at the end of the day, they've made Petco Park vibrant, made it a destination point. The product's been really good. They've made an enormous amount of money over the last 5 years because the product has been good. I don't want to hear anything about a cut in payroll. And I think they should give the general manager a contract extension. But now that this setback, losing Mike Shildt, that's a blow to the brain trust, because you need a strong leader from a player personnel standpoint to do all that business baseball relationship stuff, but you need a different type of leader in the clubhouse. And I thought Shildt was really good at stabilizing things in the clubhouse. So I think they got problems. I think now all of a sudden there's a whole pile of things here stacked up that have to be attended to and can't be solved with a snap of the fingers.
Yeah, you talk about would John Seidler sell, and that just seems to me to be a likely scenario. I mean, I got to believe that if you're an investor in a professional sports team, you're not totally in it for the return on investment, because there's a lot of other places you could put your money and make more back. So you got to be in love with the sport, in love with the team, love being associated with the whole scene.
And the guy who was Slay the Dragon and passed away.
Exactly. And John Seidler isn't necessarily as passionate as his brother was on baseball. So I often wonder, would they sell the team? Because I can't imagine from a revenue perspective, they're almost like maxing out. I mean, They got the best TV deal. The stadium sells out most of the time. I mean, where is this other great revenue stream going to come that you can build and grow the business? I don't know if they can.
No, they can't. Not in this market. And that's why the value of this franchise has rocketed. This thing might be worth $3 billion, which is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And maybe the Seidlers will cash in their chips, and then it'll be a whole different scenario. Who's going to buy it and how they're going to operate it. So all of a sudden, with Shildt stepping away on top of all the other things Preller has to deal with, all of a sudden there's a bunch of check marks here that really are flashing at me in neon lights like we got a problem. Okay, Bill, thanks for joining us.
Okay, here's two different people with the same kind of comment. The first one is from Irene. Hey, what's the real story about the manager? And then Justice said, forced resignation by Shildt.
I don't know that it was forced resignation. I think he's burned out. And I understand that. But why he would not take longer to evaluate, go on holiday, go on vacation, recharge your battery, which leads to John's theory that this friction with Preller and the baseball people probably had something to do with it, or the mess in that clubhouse, maybe it had something to do with it. But yet the product was so damn good, and baseball has been such an event, such a family situation in the community. So I think he's a baseball junkie, a lifer. I think he burned out on it.
It was surprising to me that he, isn't married, has no children, Mm-hmm. So, yeah, from that point of view, I can imagine, he would burn out. But usually lifers, like I think of Andy Reid, as a lifer in his coaching job, they can't give it up. It's all they know.
Yep.
So walking away from it, I mean, they would not know what to do with their life.
Well, at the end of the day, that's all he did was he lived and breathed baseball. And when he was home, he lived and breathed baseball and was always on his mind. And next thing you know, the next morning, he's back there living and breathing it at Petco Park. I mean, when I was told that he'd spend 14 hours a day there, I said, holy cow. Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's like we usually hear about NFL coaches. Hey, check this out. Here's 3 suggestions for the Padres. One from It's Over. The Padres should consider hiring Jays hitting coach David Popkin as their new manager. Hitman says Ozzie Guillen as the Padres manager. And then Joe says Friar should hire Rocco Baldelli. He did a good job with my Minnesota Twins when the front office supplied him with some quality players.
Baldelli would be the one that I would consider of that list. I don't think I'd trust Guillen. I think he's a ticking time bomb. I mean, there's a reason why after he exited, was removed in Chicago, nobody has given him an opportunity. There's just too much junk peripherally that's going around him. And in terms of, I think they need experience. Somebody's been to war before, which is why Shildt had been in the heat of the pennant races and had been in the pressure cooker that was St. Louis. And they haven't been the same since they fired Shildt. And John Maziliak has now stepped away as president of baseball operations. That's a rebuild job that they got to go through there at Busch Stadium. I think they're going to need somebody with experience of dealing with the games and experience about dealing with clubhouses. Baldelli, maybe. I think Baldelli was betrayed because I think the Pohlads are kind of lousy owners myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's a name. I mean, that's a guy with experience. I think the question is, it goes back to strategy. What do you want your team to be, and how do you want to play the game? And are they going to still stick with this Petco Park, hit singles, contact, move the guys around, or are they going to switch philosophies and say we want a slugger personality? Because the managers have certain skill sets to play the game certain ways. And also from a personality perspective, do they need like a kind of a invisible manager to let the stars be the stars, or do they need somebody to smack around the stars and get them on track when they fall off?
Well, you want a Billy Martin. Just scream and yell at everybody.
Well, Ozzie Guillen is sort of like that, right?
Yeah, but he's like, you're talking about loose cannon. He doesn't fit the persona.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what about this is kind of crazy talk, but like Fernando Tatis Sr. or, someone that the team would have instant respect and would gravitate to? I mean, I can't, not senior Tatis, but just someone. I guess my point is do we need someone to make the players happy? Is that got to be part of the strategy?
Is it respect? You want Albert Pujols?
Yeah, Artie Moreno wants Pujols.
I know. It's going to be interesting. Got to hire the right manager who can handle that clubhouse, right manager who can handle the X's and O's of baseball. But at the same day, the guy who he's working for, that general manager, he's got to solve this roster problem. He's got to solve lack of power hitting. He's got to solve the holes in pitching staffs 2, 3, 4. And he's obviously got to solve, okay, we're going to go get more players for the farm system because I traded everybody away.
Yeah, and that's all assuming that the payroll doesn't change.
Yes.
Right? And you think it's going to get cut. I don't know about that. I mean, remember last year we thought it was going to get cut. They ended up spending, sort of kind of near the.
They said it was going into the 190s, but they allowed them to boost it back up to 211, 212, but then they put a lid on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's reasonable. I mean, when the Padres were spending like $280 million or whatever it was when they were, one of the top 3 teams.
It's like 236 or 242, I think, base payroll.
But that was like uncharted air for like San Diego to be in that upper echelon. If they can just be, right around that number that is
211, 215 is great.
That's and they got to figure out a way to make that work. But you got, 80% of that's taken up by like 4 or 5 guys
with age.
That's
an issue.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting November into December in the winter baseball meetings. Joe, thanks for being with us.
Okay. And so let's go here. A couple of USC comments. First from USC Trojans. Oh, he's talking about Angels. Skaggs was a bum.
Well, this trial is when the testimony I'm led to believe starts first thing tomorrow morning. And they're going to bring 4 Angel executives. They're going to be the first ones who are going to testify. It's going to be heated. It's going to be hard. Skaggs had an addiction, lied about it. Family lied about it. And then Skaggs got linked to the PR director, who was an addict himself. And that started all these other dominoes to fall. My own personal opinion is that the addiction belongs to the player. There's help out there. If that player wanted help, he could have called that 800 number, the 888 number that's posted in every clubhouse. When you have personal problems, baseball players, NFL players, they have the best health care in the solar system. But you have to want to get help, and Skaggs obviously ignored it. And he came with an addiction to Percocet, and then it got worse, and then it became oxycodone, and then it became dabbling on amphetamines, and it was fentanyl, and that eventually killed him. And obviously there was a big drinking problem too. The depths of his addiction are going to be revealed starting Tuesday in this courtroom in Orange County. It's going to be a sad, sad story.
You suggested, I think a few episodes ago, that because Eric Kay went to rehab and came back.
Federal law says you can't terminate a guy who's been prescribed good to go by the people that treated him.
Exactly. So I would think that's like a defense strategy for Artie Moreno, because he could say, hey, man, we wanted to get rid of him, but we couldn't because of the law.
Well, I was told he went in 3 times for rehab.
And then he had to keep coming back to the Angels. I mean, at some point, the team, I don't care if it's baseball or wherever the guy works, if you go to drug rehab multiple times, big business should be able to cut you loose. I'm sure it's going to come up in the trial. Wow. No, that's heavy.
It's going to be a dark, dark moment in the history of Angel baseball. Trust me. And
it's going to get darker.
Follow my website, because I'm going to be writing about it almost on a daily basis on my best 15 minutes in sports on my website, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. If you check that every morning, you'll get the updates there. Okay, John, move on.
Okay, and here's another USC comment here. This is from Breakaway. Can USC beat Notre Dame in South Bend this Saturday?
Yeah, I think so, because Maava is playing well beyond his experience factor, and Notre Dame's defense is good. So is USC's defense, and that's a young freshman quarterback in C.J. Carr. Now, he's gotten progressively better for the Irish, but I think it's been a wild game. But the one thing we've seen Saturday by Saturday, Lincoln Riley's teams are hitting big plays down the field, and they are scoring on chunk plays. This is a really vibrant Southern Cal offense. So I think, yes.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be something. I mean, because I think beginning of the year, we thought, oh, yeah, Notre Dame is going to win this game. So, I mean, if they go out there and win it, that's a hell. I mean, and by the way, is this rivalry going to continue? SC Notre Dame?
They haven't negotiated the extensions yet, but there's a lot of pressure points to keep it.
Good. I mean, they should keep it. I mean, it's a good rivalry, That's like on one level, that's what you love about sports, are all these rivalries. And these reconfigurations of the conference are screwing those things up.
I did a USC game when I did the Trojans for 3 years when they were on our station, had a ball. They weren't very good. But we played at Notre Dame one of those years, and it was in late October. And, the fall weather in the Midwest and all that, the sky gets gray and it gets dark. I mean, and the sun. And I had never, ever given any consideration to the history of the rivalry. Well, we went in there to play, I think it was a 4 p.m. game. And so this was late fall. And I went to the top. The press box is at the top of Notre Dame Stadium, which is a beautiful bowl. And it's on the middle of the campus. It's just fabulous. And I went to the top with my producer, and we just kind of looked out on the top row onto the campus. And I turned, and there in the end zone was the brick building with the mural of Touchdown Jesus.
Yes.
And the sun was shining directly on it. And I said, my God, it's real. It is real. Touchdown Jesus. I kept looking at that thing during the course of the afternoon, and Notre Dame kept hitting big plays against Southern Cal and wound up beating the Trojans. So what an experience. Touchdown Jesus. It's real, especially when the sun's shining on it.
Yeah, well, good for you for actually getting a chance to go. I mean, your career is taking you all kinds of different places, but I just always have the memories of that movie Rudy, man.
Sure.
And when he gets in the game at the end, man, I'm always like shedding a tear, and it was just cool to see the movie would take in that awe-inspiring look of the Notre Dame Stadium. Yep. When Rudy walked onto the field, when like as a student, later as a player, and then when his parents saw him come out on the field. I mean, chills, man.
Very much so. Okay, let's move on. A couple more here.
And okay, this is a fun one from Robert. Hacksaw, show me your lightning bolt. Always will be a San Diego legend.
Damn right.
Okay, and from San Diego Vets, congrats, Shildt. Congrats on retirement.
Well, if this is what he wants, then he deserves it. And, he won all those games in St. Louis, and then they got terminated, and he had 2 years of 90-win seasons in San Diego. That was pretty damn electric. But I think sometimes you wake up at the end of the day and you want to do something really different in your life where you reach the point of burnout and say, I just don't want to do this anymore. That's the way some of us who are wired this way are.
It just makes you always wonder what people do when they retire, and if you've been, in this case, a baseball guy your whole life, it's not like you're going to go get a job as an accountant or something like that, right? I mean, you're going to still be involved in baseball in some way. But even these players, when they retire, I mean, that's why a lot of these guys struggle. I mean, you talk about Allen Iverson and the alcohol addiction and everything he went through. I mean, Shildt, he's burned out, but hopefully he has something that he's always wanted to do. Maybe he wants to, travel the world, or maybe he wants to have a wood workshop in his basement or something, hopefully he has a dream of something to do next.
Yeah. I'll just be intrigued to see if there are other tentacles to the story that will be reported, et cetera. I mean, John's of the theory that it's much deeper than this. I'm not of the theory because I tend to think he was baseball all the time, and you reach a breaking point.
No, yeah, we're all programmed to think there's a conspiracy theory. Okay, let's go to Michael. Hacksaw, does UCLA look at Franklin as their next head coach?
Good question. UCLA's got money problems. Franklin would not be cheap to be hired. That's a really good question. They need leadership. They need somebody with national recruiting ties. They need somebody who understands academia. Franklin did great things at Penn State, which is a great academic institution. Maybe they do. Why not? You make the call. You never know till you actually sit down and do the extensive interview. I mean, he's got a great track record, 104-45, and where he was prior. I think he was at Vanderbilt. And I mean, he flipped that thing. And Vanderbilt's an impossible place to win in the SEC, but yet they won, and they're winning this year too. That I think that's a very legitimate question of make the phone call and find out what he's all about.
Well, it kind of fits the profile of what you said. It needed to be a name coach. You said from the SEC or from the South because of the connections. The new
with the chancellor.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if UCLA get Franklin, I mean, at least he knows how to build a program.
Great credibility.
Yeah, but Deshaun Foster, bless his heart, he doesn't know how to build an organization. I mean, he was a first-time manager or a head coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what
never been a coordinator. Yeah. But it's not a perfect science, as witnessed by Bill and the Babe down in North Carolina.
Are they going to get rid of him? Is that?
I don't think so. I mean, they've denied that there's buyout talks underway. It is weird, though. The Athletic did this huge investigative piece at the end of last week while I was away, and I finally got access to it. You know, and you just wonder, where's his mindset? Because usually on a bye week, and you get a bye week in the middle of the season, that's when you're on the road recruiting. His bye week, he took a romantic long weekend with the Babe at Nantucket Island. Not visiting high school recruits in the Deep South. So it's just...
You go, Bill, man. But, you know, when he signed up for that job, I didn't expect him to be sitting down with moms and dads in their living room, except unless it was like the Uber 5-star. He was going to have his guys he was going to deploy. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he's out, you know, having some vacation, a little liquor and loving.
And it is possible in Nantucket.
Okay, let's go here to Arnell. And he says, hey, surprised Bob Melvin got fired from the Giants. Who should be the next skipper in San Francisco?
Well, they're talking to Nick Hundley because he's a smart guy, college educated, et cetera. He and Posey, I think, are on the kind of same wavelength. They just interviewed Brandon Hyde from Baltimore over the weekend. And Hyde, I thought, did a good job at a massive rebuild in Baltimore, and they kind of hit a wall, and they've given a little bit of ground. So Hyde's evidently getting some recognition there. Buster knows a lot of people in baseball. He's going to take his time. So, but Hundley he's an intellect. And, you know, Hundley played, Hundley coached, Hundley became an assistant in front office, then Hundley went to work at the commissioner's office. I mean, he's taken all this volume of information about the business of the game in addition to the game itself. Hundley's an interesting guy.
Remember back when he was a young player with the Padres, and the Padres sort of kind of put a little bit of money into Hundley and Will Venable, and there was like, it was one of the pitchers. I can't remember who it was, and he was a lefty, and he was really good, and then he ended up hurting his arm. It didn't work out, but everyone always thought Hundley was this real smart dude. Mm-hmm. And I remember he left the Padres, and all of a sudden he showed up as a backup to Posey in San Francisco, and I'm like, oh, okay. You know, there's more to this guy than I realized. So, yeah, that's not a bad pick, but I don't know, I go back in time, man. Like Roger Craig was one of the best Giants managers, you know, baby. That guy, he was pretty good.
That was 50 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it was back in the day. He was all right. But the Giants have had a checkered past of a lot of managers that were real meh, you know, so hopefully they make a good hire.
Success of a franchise weighs in not just on the manager, but it's the general manager and the acquisitions of talent and budget and all that. I mean, Bochy won 3 rings. That's pretty bloody impressive.
Yeah, and Felipe Alou was all right, you know, but, you know, you got to go. I go back to like Charlie Fox, you know, way back in the 70s. There were a lot of guys that weren't so great. But, the Giants have money to spend. That's a destination place to be a manager. If you want to, you get great fan support. I mean, that's got to be one of the more coveted jobs that's open. So, yeah, Posey will find someone good.
I concur. Okay, let's go social media here.
Okay, we're going to go to social media. And, let's get here a little Dodger commentary. This is from Coy. He goes, hey, the longer the starters can go in these series, the more chance we have at winning anything. This bullpen is pressing too much on perfection. Let's go Blue Crew.
Well, they're not pressing right now because all of a sudden, the way they're partitioning out Roki Sasaki, that looks like the real deal. Now, if they can get extended starts, and they will, from Snell, Yamamoto, hopefully from Glasnow, and now they're pushing Ohtani back to get him back on his regular 6-day rest period. They look good. I mean, and again, who they're playing, they got more power than Milwaukee in their lineup. And obviously their frontline pitching is much, much better than anything the Volunteers at Milwaukee's trying to put out there on the mound beginning tonight. So I think the Dodgers win the sucker in 5 games. I really do. But Sasaki, for what they're asking him to do, the first time he's walked down that hallway and ever done it, He's just, maybe because he doesn't know the language. He doesn't feel the crush of pressure.
Oh, he does. He feels that. But remember, we saw him early in the year. He was kind of weeping a little bit after a rough outing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like he's feeling the pressure.
But all they're doing is they're saying, throw your fastball, throw your splitter. That's it.
Oh, yeah, that splitter just, it has this dive.
Yep.
And then the fastball will just like hit another gear and just take off, So, yeah, he's skilled. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But, I think this comment is a social media comment. It might have been like from a week or two ago. But what's the deal with Tanner Scott? Because remember we were, everyone was down on him.
He underwent emergency surgery for an abscess.
So do you think that was the reason why he was having problems?
No, he lost his location. And I don't think he's got the oomph, the velocity on his fastball that he had in San Diego last year.
Wow. Well, they're stuck with him for 3 more years.
Yeah. And he can't pitch now in this series. And the only time he could be activated would be if they get to the World Series. But they're saying this abscess infection surgery. They're not talking about whether it's in his foot or some other body part. But he can't do anything for at least 2 to 3 weeks, which might put him out of the World Series too.
Wow. Well, I mean, but see, they got plenty of resources. They're going to be fine.
They got Sasaki.
Yeah, they do. Okay, here's some more Dodger talk. This is from Mr. Frank the Tank. Lee Hacksaw, Dodger hater, Padre lover. Philly starters were the best stuff that the Dodgers would see in the playoffs, and they did their job. There are other aspects that make up a team. Unfortunately for the Phillies, they couldn't quite check the defense box. Boo-hoo. Dodgers have been on the other end multiple times. Go Dodgers.
Well, the Phillies didn't hit. Top of the batting order just was miserable. It was 3 for 35. The bottom of the batting order was even worse. Philadelphia is just apoplectic right now. I mean, they are just in shock at what happened, but it's just not the same team. And, Phillies pitching, they got some injuries. Losing Zach Wheeler was huge. Nola gave him everything he could, and he was out for such an extended period. His shoulder. He did as much as he could. Luzardo pitched his guts out, pitched really, really well. So, and Ranger Suarez pitched very well. They just, unfortunately, they got hurt pitchers at the wrong time of the year. But Philly, you win 96 and you're not playing this week. Wow.
Yeah, that was a surprise. But, man, Dodger fans love to hate on you on social media. He's a Dodger hater, and go talk about your Madres all the time. And then, meanwhile, the Padre fans say you're a Padre hater. You're like always Mr. Negative.
No, I'm just pointing out what I know and what I firmly believe. There's nothing wrong with being honest, unless you're in the White House.
It's funny. Yeah. But it's funny how, the fan base gets angry at the journalists for asking critical questions, but everyone knows that the sports media in Southern California is a cakewalk to what it is in the East Coast. I mean, if the Padres or the Dodgers were on the East Coast, the media would be coming unglued, wouldn't they?
Exactly. Can you imagine how many newspapers they have in the New York market? Do you think they'd be pretty tough on Machado and Tatis right now?
Yeah, well, they would be tough on the Dodgers too. With all the drama they've had, because they'll find some way to create a headline on the New York Post.
I thought about wearing my Dodger hoodie today to celebrate the baseball that was still being played, but I didn't think. But there's always Thursday's show.
By the way, this guy's handle is Mr. Frank the Tank. We've talked about him before. Frank the Tank is a social media follow, and he is a huge Mets fan. And he's always on Twitter, and he's this big guy who's lost a lot of weight, but just a big loudmouth and overly emotional. I think he might be a little bit on the spectrum, but what a great follow on social media for a dude that is a Mets fan, a Knicks fan. Unbelievable guy.
He's got a lot of the offseason to vent on all things at Citi Field.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Okay, a couple more here.
A couple of more. Okay, let's go here to, let's talk some Padres. This is from Mike. He says, hey, anybody that's been watching this team all season can't possibly be surprised that the offense didn't show up for these 3 games. That's nothing unusual for this team. They're a team with very little power, one of the worst slugging percentages in baseball. Right before the postseason started, they beat up on a team that had already had plans for the offseason, which is typical for this team.
Well, Machado, career-wise, is deplorable. Look at the back of my baseball card. Yeah. Back of your baseball card says you're a lifetime 211 hitter now in postseason. That's not very good. And in terms of Tatis, I firmly believe he's very instinctive. He's a great raw talent, and I don't think he's educationally, academically oriented. What he did in terms of all those wild swings, all that junk out of the strike zone, a guy this long, deep into his career should not be doing that who's a star, and he did it. I mean, he was miserable. So now they're lucky they're not, as John said, they're lucky they're not in New York because the media would just castrate him.
It'd be brutal.
It'd be terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in San Diego where everything is nice. But at the end of the day, they're responsible for this. They're the ones that are making all this money. And, you know, add in and into that, Arise failing and Cronenworth going over. It was just terrible. I mean, the best players, the highest paid players, let them down across the board. Did they have a great season? Yeah. Petco Park, fun place? Yeah. Are these guys popular? Yeah. But at the end of the day, what are you doing at the end of the season, postseason? And they didn't do it again, and that's the problem.
Well, you know, we talk about the NFL as a copycat league. It seems like Major League Baseball is becoming that with this put the ball in play, grind that pitcher down, be pesky.
Yeah, but that's not happening in Seattle where they have 255 home runs.
Well, yeah, well, they're ignoring the advice, but other teams have jumped on board with this strategy of you got to hit like 3 singles to score a run where, you know, rather than Earl Weaver and the 3-run bomb. So I don't know. I mean, batting averages, by the way, are just way the hell down, you know, so clearly if you expect to get, you know, 3 singles and maybe a double, that's asking a lot these days.
Can you imagine being in New York with the Yankees right now? Aaron Judge, future Hall of Famer, hits 500 in postseason.
He was
and
magnificent.
The rest of the team hits 188. Just amazing. And their pitching staff was in shambles.
And then you said Bellinger opted out of his deal.
Yes.
He's making $25 million. He thinks he's going to make more?
No, I don't think so. That's just a negotiating ploy from your favorite agent.
Oh, is that Boris?
Your favorite agent.
Okay. All right.
Exactly. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed this podcast. We're here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Hope you'll share, tell all your friends, subscribe so you get the alerts every time we put something up. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a 5-star rating. It helps us a great deal. Hit the follow button along the way. We'll be back here Thursday to talk about the beginning of the playoffs, look ahead to the NFL, and probably more storylines to talk about what happened with the Padres and Mike Shildt. The podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers. 9 locations to serve you. Go to Dixieline.com. See all the things they have to offer. John, take a deep breath. Let's get ready to go out first pitch, go watch some baseball playoffs, and then we'll be back here on Thursday.
Yeah, plus I think there's 2 Monday Night Football games tonight, so we'll be wearing out the clicker tonight for sure.
You have yourself a great day. Thanks, as always, for being part of Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast apps. For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.